Hey folks, how's everybody doing on this Saturday night? It's time for my monthly get together hangout. See how everybody's doing. No gigs tonight. Haven't got actually this weekend and next weekend because next weekend is Easter and we usually stay away from holidays because we've learned finally that if you ever do a gig on a long weekend, you probably your attendance isn't going to be so hot. So there's really no point. Let me just move this camera a little bit. Let's center a little bit. There we go. Yeah, playing on a long weekend usually equates a pretty bad turnout. But I want to thank you folks for coming in and checking out and hanging out. We're going to talk some guitars tonight. We're going to talk some gear and anything else that comes up. I got a couple of things I want to mention. New stuff on the horizon, kind of changing things up a little bit, more so on the YouTube side of things. But yeah, so we got in here. We got William De Silva. William, how you doing, buddy? Nice to see you. There's Mitch Heyman. Welcome. Uncle Denny. Evening. Nice to see you. Mark's Gas Station. Greetings, folks. Nice to see you. I got here at the start of the stream for once. Hey, John. How are you? So that's, and this whole thing is a whole new setup that I'm doing. I basically redid everything as far as my streaming in terms of a new mixer, and I'm off the Focusrite. I'm using a Gigcaster, a Boss, Gigcaster 5. Right now, there's two versions of this, and I got the 5, which is the less expensive one because I don't need anything more than this really. This already is kind of overkill, but I'm playing around with it. I think I got it dialed in sounding okay. What's really cool about it is the sounds that I'm using. Hey Daniel, how are you? The sounds that I'm using are all kind of, I'm not going through any amps tonight. I'm literally going directly into the Boss Gigcaster, because one of the benefits of having the Boss Gigcaster is within the Boss Gigcaster you basically have, and I think it's the GT1000 or something, the Boss, like the multi-effects. Like, this has got a shit ton of guitar effects built into it, and amps, and you know, what have you. Like, it's all in there. I mean, there's even acoustic guitar sims in this thing. It's pretty amazing how much stuff they've packed into this thing, right? So, like, you know, if you were using it as a straight up mixer, it's cool, but then you add on to the, you know, the fact that you've got all this extra stuff in there. It's kind of mind blowing, right? So, you know, think about it. It's a really good excuse me, it's a really good value for the money. Hey Paul Lou, how are you, man? Yeah, so that's a preset that I found called the Brit Classic 78 or something. And yeah, again, I'm just going directly into it, and that's my the patch. Now, I haven't really gone into the menus, and you can deep dive, and you can, you know, make up your own sounds and all that kind of stuff. But that's kind of what I went with. Now, I don't think it sounded as good as going through my real amp with my real pedals, which is what I was doing originally. But I haven't got my big pedal board with me, and so I'm just gonna go straight in for this one. So how's everybody doing this evening? Hope you're all doing well. Hopefully you're getting a little bit of the warmer weather. It's still kind of shitty here. Actually, today wasn't too bad. I think we're kind of in the 60s, maybe. I always have to do that conversion, that mental Celsius to Fahrenheit conversion. And I think we're probably in the low 60s or high 50s in Fahrenheit language. Um, but yeah, it's not been anywhere near spring. We've had snow this week. We had another ice storm this week. Um, like freezing rain and all that kind of stuff. I did a a gig last weekend, which was a little bit out of town, and they were really predicting that they were telling people basically don't leave your house. 62 Fahrenheit in Southern Oregon. That's not bad. Yeah, we played last Saturday, and on the news and all that, they were basically saying don't leave your house because there was all these pockets of like freezing rain and slippery conditions, and so I thought last weekend for sure we would have, that gig would have been canceled, but they went ahead with it. They had the place sold out, that they said, and all this kind of thing. So we show up there, and you know, by the time we played like the third set, and it was an early night because I think we only played till about 11:30. But by the time we started at 10:30, the place had emptied out because everybody went home early because of the ice storm, and we're sitting there like standing there like a couple idiots or four idiots, playing to basically, I don't know, 10 people at the bar. So it was kind of disheartening, and then we start loading out, and what do you know? The ground is slippery, and my car was covered in ice. So let's just say it was an interesting drive home. But fortunately, we all made it home in one piece. But that was ridiculous. What else we got here? Russ Markart, how are you? There's Denskill Music. How you doing? Yeah, I was just I mean, when you got weather like that, you really should just cancel the event and not do it, right? So, but oh no, sorry, that wasn't last week. That was 2 weeks ago. Last weekend we played again at the place that wasn't too far away. It was only about an hour from my place, but it's the same. It's a little tiny stage. All I got room for is like my Blues Junior. What did I use last week? Oh, I took the PRS out because I haven't done that one in a while, and the tones were pretty cool with that. My little mini pedal board. I got this little tiny pedal board. And that was okay, but again, by the third set, you're playing to like 12 people at the bar. I mean, they're all clapping and enjoying it, but nobody got up and danced. And it was kind of a lame gig, to be honest with you. But we got to play that place at least a couple times a year because we're also doing it for. That's where we're doing our New Year's. Again this year, they've already confirmed New Year's for this year at this place. So we don't just want to show up and do the New Year's gig. We want to do, we should do a couple of regular ones there. So. What's the biggest crowd you've ever played for? Oh, that would have been back in the 90s. And I don't know exactly because we did some big outdoor things. This is with another band. This was a whole other world. But I would say anywhere, probably somewhere between like 800 to 1,000. I know that, and I know the 800 number because we did play a New Year's Eve event, and the place was sold out, and it had a capacity of I think 800 people. But then we played some outdoor stuff, and then you never know, right? Like how many people are actually out there. So I would say in that range would be the biggest shows I've ever done. So nothing huge. This is my good old RO. It's my holy grail. This is the guitar that I'm going to get buried with. It's a what's the word? Relic, slightly relict. Um, it's 1960s reissue. So it's got all the 1960s spec custom buckers in it. It's got the, you know, the Gibson medallion on the back. These things I think are going for somewhere in the neighborhood of about 10 grand now. I've had this for about, I think around COVID time, so about 3 years. I literally bought this out of the back of a car and saved myself at the time probably about 2 or 3 grand doing it that way. But I did have to get it repaired. There was a little bit of a there was a ding here that I had filled in, and you can't even see it. I don't even know where it is anymore. So yeah, there's always deals to be had. I'm always checking Facebook Marketplace, which I shouldn't. Because the last thing I need is another guitar. I'm actually going to be selling a bunch of things now because if this Gitcaster thing works out, then I really don't need the I don't need my Scarlett Focusrite anymore, and really I don't need. I've got a multi effects of Vailton unit that if I've got multi effects on this, I don't really need that either. So, and selling that would more than pay for this. So there you go. So yeah, so let me know everybody's doing out there. Let me know if you've got any questions or any requests. I haven't really learned any new riffs though. I'll warn you right now. I did want to learn how to the riff to because I was just watching a live Aussie video the other day with Jakey Lee, and I really Jakey Lee and Ozzy was magic. Randy Rhoads was phenomenal too. Don't get me wrong, but man, I love the stuff that Jakey Lee did with Ozzy too. I thought some of that stuff was really really good. And Rock and Roll Rebel was the tune that I was. If I had more time, I would have picked up that riff because I always liked that riff. I can't do Bark at the Moon. That's too fast for me, but I think I could probably play something at that speed of Rock and Roll Rebel. It's something like that, but I got to figure it all out. Have you ever had any issues with the headstocks in your LPs? No, I never have, Daniel. I've been fortunate. The whole thing about cracked headstocks, I've never had that happen. And I've had a couple of times where I've had at gigs where guitars have slipped off straps and hit the ground. I've had that happen to me twice. And fortunately, both times, all I got was like a little indentation here. But never a broken headstock, thank God. So, yeah. So always get a good, always get good strap locks. Don't buy the cheap stuff. I have been known to check Facebook Marketplace and other online gear sources while noodling on a guitar I just acquired an hour ago. Oh, you just got a guitar, John? What'd you get, John? Hey, Jason, how are you, man? Nice to see you. Jakey Lee is criminally underrated. The Ultimate Sin is a great album. Yeah, it's a pretty good record, yeah. Dark Wizard, how are you? The market's not good. I keep seeing this this Les Paul for sale. It's been there for a while, and it looks really. It's one of those guitars from a distance. It looks really good because it's like I guess one of the lemon bursts. It's not even a burst. It's just kind of like a sort of that lemony faded color. It looks really good from far away, but then when you zoom in on the photo, it's got a lot of grain to it, but it's not like, like a flame like this kind of thing. It's more like all these, wood, grain marks going this way and all kind of wonky and whatever. And I'm not crazy about these vertical lines. I like the horizontal ones that go, or no, I guess this would be vertical and these would be horizontal. So I'm a fan of the vertical, but not the horizontal. But I love the color of it. It just, that whole sort of totally faded burst, looks really, really cool. That's something that, I don't have. And Of course, me getting another Les Paul is like me getting like like a third arm or something. I don't need it, right? Uh, I have in the past a guitar, and he immediately began looking for. Oh, I got you, John. Yeah, Louis BD. There's a new name. Welcome, welcome. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. I'm very slowly inching my way to 5,000 subscribers. I think I'm about 170 to 80 away, depending on what time of day it is. So I'm under 200 at this point. So go tell your friends, tell your neighbors, even if they don't play guitar, ask them to subscribe, because that's like a big goal for me if I ever hit 5,000. And funny enough, this video is my 901st. So I'm at 901 videos on this channel. And this is my 10th year on YouTube. So in 10 years, I've done 900 videos, right? Like, that's kind of insane when you think about it. Just following on from your comment of looking when you should. Yeah, I got you, John. Buy my Les Paul. I have a black one. I don't need another black one. Hey, Cushman, how are you, man? I appreciate that, John. Guitar market, and easier to find some cool ones out there. You know, out of I mean, at least the Les Pauls, I think there's only. Well, no, there. Wait a minute. I don't think I own one that is new. I've talked about this before. They're all used, right? Either used from a store. Like the most recent one I got is like a cardinal red, cherry red. Um, it's a classic, which they don't make them in 2025, so it's a model they don't even make anymore. Anyways, that was a used one, and I've got a really nice cherry sunburst that I also bought out of a trunk of a car. So it's kind of things like that. My Blackie guitar that I've used quite a bit on this channel. I drove about an hour out of town and met a guy at his place, and it was all set up. It was really cool. He had it all set up. He's like, he had an amp and pedals, and he goes, just try the guitar. So that's how I bought that one. So yeah, it's I don't know, man. To walk into a store and spend like full pop on a standard, at least in Canada now, with after taxes and all, you're pretty much around $4,000, which is really crazy. And if I can get the same thing used for $2,500, which is what the last couple I got were like 23, 25. Why wouldn't you? And yeah. Oh, appreciate that, Dark Wizard. Yeah, it's funny the way the YouTube channel kind of turned into its own thing. I mean, when I started it 10 years ago, it was just to kind of document me getting back into playing, because I'd taken a break of about, I don't know, about 11, between 11 and 12 years. I hadn't played at all. And then I, started playing again. And at that point, I was like starting from scratch and trying to learn and try to clean up all the sort of the improve on the things that I was crappy before, which was, a lot of the left, right hand, alternate picking, and just the synchronization between the two hands. Just trying to learn how to play more proper, right? So, but that's really what the gist of the whole YouTube thing was. And then I mean, I've done so much stuff. I had one or two shows a week where I was going live all the time. I was interviewing a lot of people. I was doing an interview a week show, and I was interviewing other people, other YouTube people, guitar people, and then kind of morphed into where I started interviewing professional musicians. So I've got some I mean, not massive names, but names you might know. Uh, Philip Schaus from Accept. Ryan Spencer Cook played with Gene Simmons. Now he's playing with Ace Frehley. Um, a lot. Some different people, and but yeah, I did that, and then I kind of stopped doing that, and I thought my channel was gonna die because I was doing this steady recent, or I should say every week kind of frequent interview show. But then it just became like a job. It became too difficult. And then I kind of stopped doing that, and then I just said, okay, I'm just gonna do videos when I feel like it. And around the same time, I kind of I met Pete from Sea of Tranquility, and I did a bunch of stuff on his channel, and he did he's on my show my channel once a week, and I or once a week, once a month, and we do the album ranking shows. And we got another great show coming up with Pete Martin. Actually, I should mention the 24th of April is our next show, and we got a really killer topic for May. May is going to be awesome. The topic for May is awesome. You want to see a really heavy discussion? Watch the May show. April show will be good, but the May show is going to be killer. What Les Paul are you playing tonight? Cushman, I was saying earlier, this is my RO. So this is a Gibson RO, so it's their reissue 1960 spec. So it's got the slimmer neck, and it's slightly aged, so you can see that there is a little bit of dust on the pickup covers, but they're not shiny, not just because of the dust. So it's slightly aged. It's got slight checking on it if you look really, really close. But yeah, this is like I got this, bought this out of a trunk of a car. I had to drive 3 hours and meet the guy halfway between Toronto and Montreal, but worked out great. Who's one guitar player I wish I discovered earlier? That's a good one. I don't know. I don't know. Discovered. Blew me away. Well, I always liked Nuno, so I can't say Nuno. I don't know. I have to think about that one. Nobody comes to mind at the moment. I like getting used guitars. The new ones are going to end up used anyways. It's like bringing a rescue puppy home. You are doing a good thing. Yeah, exactly. That's the opening of one of my tunes. Yeah, folks, I got a bunch of original music. It's all on Spotify. Type in Guitar Hack, do a search. I don't know, 25 to 30, something like that. Original songs. I actually have one queued up this evening that I'll be playing at the end of the show. It's one that it's one of the early ones that I've done, but I'm pretty proud of it. It's one of the better songs I think I've ever written. It's dedicated to a good friend of mine that best friend I ever had in the world, actually, that I lost about 6 years ago now. And but it's a really good song. I think it's a good song. And for me to actually like something that I did is pretty rare because I'm I'm my worst critic. So, but it's a good one. In hindsight, it's a good tune. Yeah. How's the guitar sounding out there? Is it okay? Again, this is just a patch that's on the Gigcaster. I haven't tweaked it at all, and so I don't know if it sounds decent out there. I mean, it's always funny whenever you play something. It's like, you play it and I hear one thing, and then when I go back and I listen to on the show, I've watched the YouTube. I always go back and I watch all my live streams, because there's always, you know, a comment that I'll miss, and then I want to, like, reply or whatever. Anyway, and then when I listen to the guitar, it's like, man, that sounded like ass, and it sounded good to me, but at the time. Thanks, Mitch. Am I gonna go through different patches? I could. What really freaked me out with this Gigcaster is that it does an acoustic guitar simulation. Let me know if you're interested in hearing that. So not only does it do an acoustic guitar 6-string, but it also does a 12-string. So if you're interested in that, let me know, and I'll see if I can find that patch. The one thing I'll say, it's, everything is touchpad, so it's a little cumbersome trying to go from one sound to another. But if you're interested in hearing what that sound, I mean, I'm not here trying to advertise the Gigcaster. I'm sure they do quite well without me, right? But I'm just saying, like, it's got a lot of different things on it that you could try. Yeah, to have a drink on me is a great track. Yeah, and I mean, Back in Black is, for me, a perfect album. And by perfect albums, I mean, I can listen to it top to bottom, and there's no skips. Thanks, Dan Skill. DMG, how are you? Okay, Paul Lee, Paul Lou, and Jason. Okay, so bear with me here. Um, Let me see what's what here. Okay, so let me see if I can. Yeah, I'm just trying to go through these. Okay, I'm back at the top. Now I'm scrolling. Oh, here we go. Okay, so this is the acoustic sim. Here, how's that sound? Oh, I don't know any bird stuff. My acoustic stuff is strictly Zeppelin, pretty much. Rotary phone on the wall with hey, Guitar Man 45. That's right. It sounds pretty good, Daniel. Not bad. Sounds pretty good. Okay. No hint of it being electric. Okay. So that was a six string, right? So let me go to a 12. All right, this is a 12 string electric. How's that for the 12 string? Yeah, it's a pretty usable sound too. I think so, John. Ah, thanks, Dark Wizard. Sounds okay in a band mix. Yeah, yeah, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. The other thing that really, now I don't know if I can find it here, but there's this like um best way to describe it is like a sort of deep purple Hammond organ distorted sound, which absolutely blew me away. I'm like, holy shit, is that a cool sound? So basically, you know, I'm looking for it right now. If you know, you turn that thing on, and next thing you know, you're doing a bunch of like deep purple type riffs, right? With shit. Now I can't find it. You're doing a bunch of deep purple riffs with that Hammond organ sound. If I can find it here, bear with me here. Uh, I'm not finding it. There's like a million of these things, and like I said, you're just slowly scrolling with your thumb or with my thumb. Oh, now I'm down. Okay, I'm up to the base. The bass stuff is at the end, so when I hit the bass, I know I must have gone past it. But anyway, I wish I had that pulled up because that sound really freaked me out. When I heard that, I'm like, holy shit. Because what it's good for when you got all these effects is like when you're coming up with music. I mean, you know, I don't write a lot of music, but it's whatever it kind of hits me. It just really, you get a sound, and it just, next thing you know, you're coming up with something. It's just a kind of it really influences you. You know, it gives you ideas, stuff that you would never normally do, but you're doing it because of the sound that you've got dialed up. Oh, hang on. No, that's not. That's not it. Yeah, sorry, folks. I'll go back to this. The 6 sounded better than the 12, John? Yeah. 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 Hard to honestly say if we fooled into thinking it sounds an acoustic when we were going to already knowing it is. Sounds great. Yeah, not bad. I mean, you know. Probably my favorite ACDC. Probably my favorite ZZ Top lick for sure. Yeah, just got paid. I don't. It was like hearing the extra with the 12 hard to really say over just some small stereo speakers. It was good. Now you're cooking with that ZZ Top. Yeah, love ZZ Top, man. You know, I was thinking about doing a video. I mean, Martin's just done one, and it's just one of those video ideas that's sort of so obvious that you never think of doing it. But you know, and the thing is, when you do it, you're always gonna like really, how would I put it? You know, create a lot of controversy or whatever, right? And the video idea is what he's been doing lately, which is very, you know, and you know, again, you can't really hammer people for this because it's very subjective, but just literally picking your 10 favorite bands. So I was thinking about doing a video like that, just like on my 10 favorite bands. And when thinking about doing a video like that, it always comes down to the same thing. It's history, right? History is going to determine what your 10 favorite bands are. It's going to be bands that have been with you for a long time, right? So right off the bat, it's going to be kind of skewed to your age, right? What was the music that you were discovering coming up? Oftentimes, that's going to be a major factor. You know, I've experienced that firsthand whenever I've done like album ranking shows. You know, like for example, I did a Rush one with a buddy of mine who, you know, I used to play in a band with, and he's about, I don't know, maybe 8 years younger than me. And when we're picking Rush albums, you know, I'm picking albums like, you know, Hemispheres and Farewell to Kings and this, and he's picking stuff like Power Windows and Presto, and you know what I mean. So a lot of it has to do with your age and when you came into the music. So, but I don't know. I was thinking about doing a video, just, you know, here's my 10 favorite bands, and kind of going from there. So I don't know. I've been thinking about it. Let me know if you think it's worth a video worth doing. Like, you know, does anybody really care? But you know, it would be good to at least have a discussion. I can tell you right off the bat who my number one is, and if you follow the channel, I bet you already know who that is. Definitely a usable tone. The 6 was better. Okay. Okay. Alan, how are you? Yeah, good to see you too, man. Any interest in trying 8-gauge strings like Billy Gibbons? Um, hey Janice. You know what? I actually did put eights on a guitar. I did, and I think I may even done a video about it. So my and I'm not looking for sympathy here, okay? But I'm getting older. I'm pushing 60, right? And what I find the biggest issue I have is if I not so much chords usually, but if I'm doing like a lot of leads and I'm really pushing myself and I'm doing a lot of sort of finger acrobatics, I can only do them for a very short amount of time, and then I start getting a lot of pain in my forearm, right? So and sometimes you know playing a gig, I gotta if there's a couple. I mean, not that I do crazy, solos, but I mean, I play some solos and stuff, and sometimes I'll actually have them spaced out so that my hands can rest. If I'm really going for it on one, and I can get a little bit of a break between songs from one to the next. So anyway, I thought, you know what, maybe to sort of compensate for that, let me try some number eight strings. So I got some number eight strings and I put them on a guitar, and the guitar was unplayable. Okay, I mean it was playable, but for me it's like it just it I mean I sounded like, not that I'm great, but I sounded like a beginner playing this thing because I was just kind of fumbling around, like, it was terrible. I couldn't get into it. I couldn't get used to it. I couldn't bend the notes. I couldn't it just felt so foreign to me, that I couldn't do it. And I ended up brand new set of strings, and I cut them off and I went back to nines. I just can't do eights. I can play tens, but the thing is, see, if I put tens on my guitar, then that window of how much I can play, athletically, take that, if that was 10 minutes, now it becomes 5 minutes because now I'm working too hard, right? So nine for me seems to be the 9 to 42 specifically seems to be the happy medium for me. Hey Ken White, how are you? Nice to see you. Starting and coming up was like the Raiders and the Stones, and getting into Hendrix, Sabbath, Zepp, and on it went. Hey Eric, nice to see you. I haven't seen you in a while. Welcome. Yeah, see, like bands like the Beatles, I mean, I was, I mean, they broke up. I wasn't going to say before I was born, but, I was, three or whatever, right? So I didn't really experience the Beatles or learn about the Beatles until, I started getting into music. So that was kind of an after the fact thing. But, even Zeppelin really in the 70s, um, I kind of came to Zeppelin later because in the 70s, like most kids, well, I shouldn't say most kids, but it was, I mean, Kiss was my gateway, right? And then, Kiss, it was Aerosmith, it was BTO, it was, who else? Kiss, Aerosmith, Nazareth. Those were sort of like my first bands, and then it's funny is when I really decided I wanted to be, like a decent player. That's when I started listening to Rush. That's when I started listening to Zeppelin. I went through a Hendrix phase. I went through an SRV phase. That's kind of when I wanted that. So this is like, like late 80s, early 90s is when I started kind of, zooming in on certain things that I mean, I always kind of liked Rush. I did buy, as a kid I did own, what the Rush albums did I have? I think Hemispheres was probably the first record I bought of Rush. And then of course everybody got moving pictures, and then you start working your way backwards and such, but yeah. But it's like, when you start like Thin Lizzy, right? Here's a band that it wasn't until I got back into playing that I got into Thin Lizzy, right? Because you're looking for, for good, like Thin Lizzy was. I was a latecomer to Thin Lizzy, because Thin Lizzy in the '70s, outside of Boys Are Back in Town, who knew Thin Lizzy? You know, but I got into Gary Moore, and it's like a rabbit hole. Gary Moore leads you to, to Thin Lizzy, right? So couldn't feel the strings, Janice. Yeah, I feel the same way. It's like, what the hell? It's like, are there even strings on this? I don't know how Billy Duffy does it. I mean, how he plays strings that thin. I mean, and the guy's a phenomenal player. He's got great touch and feel, and you know. But and that whole thing about you need thick strings to have like big tone. I mean, just Billy sounds pretty good to me. I don't think he needs the heavy strings. Sixth grade when the Beatles came out. Oh, so you were there for the whole thing, Janice. Yeah, yeah, I remember when what was it? The Hotter Than Hell record was out, and one of my kids that grew up on the street, his older brother had a copy of it, and we thought they looked cool and whatever. But I would have been what 74. I would have been 8. I wasn't really. It wasn't until probably I think I bought my first album. I might have been 10 or 11, probably 10, and it was Destroyer. That's the first album I ever bought, and it was in a Sears store, and it just the cover, and then when I used to come home from lunch, I had just enough time to play the first two cuts. I'd listen to Detroit Rock City and King of the Nighttime World, and then I'd have to rush back to school. You could do a top 10 and play favorite riffs from each. Actually, Uncle Denny, I've done so many different things on YouTube. I actually have my 5 favorite riffs, and what I did was I picked 5 like from different bands. So like I've got my 5 favorite riffs and I play them, right? So like Zeppelin would be one. I think I did Zeppelin. I did Black Sabbath. I did Judas Priest. I did AC/DC. I must have done Kiss. So that video idea of I've done that. I've done that. That was a lot of work, man. Because it's like, okay, these are my 5 favorite riffs, and then I have to learn how to play them, and some of them are pretty difficult. Because I remember the worst one was Electric Eye, Judas Priest, because it's fast, and I can't play that fast, and that one killed me. But and then when I did the Zeppelin ones, there was a couple of alternate tunings, and I've never done alternate tunings, and I had to do alternate tunings to play like Dancing Days, for example. So, but there's a video out there, Guitar Hack 5 favorite licks, and you'll see the bands that I did. I think I did 5 or 6 bands. I can't remember. It was a long time ago. Kiss and Aerosmith and Ted Nugent for me. The '70s were great, and Skinner. Yeah. Hey, Alex 2112. Aerosmith was always a big band for me. At least their '70s output of Aerosmith. Ted Nugent, not so much. I did as a kid whenever that Scream Dream record came out. That was the first Ted Nugent record I ever bought. So I don't know when that came out, 1980 or '79 or something. But I did get that record. What's my second favorite guitar if the RO is first? I don't know. I don't think I have a second. I kind of like the rest the same, you know. I go through phases, right? I like I got a Fender Deluxe with 2 humbuckers that I play that a lot. Gigged with that a lot because it's heavy, though. That's the problem. And I mean, I like Blackie, I like Snots. These are Les Paul names I have, and I don't know. I don't really have a second. I played the PRS the other day. Keep every time I pick up the PRS and I'm playing it, it's like, man, this is like a proper musician's guitar. I should not own this because this is like, like it's like if you're a hack mechanic and you've got like Mastercraft tools. You're like, I shouldn't own these tools. These tools are too good for me. There for Elvis Presley and Everly Brothers. Wow, that's way before my time. Used to love all the stuff you get in the Kiss albums. Yeah, Alex 2112. Man, I remember when I bought a Live 2 and you had that nice fold out book with all the years and their photos and costumes, and you had those like tattoos. I still have all that stuff. Listen to the Beatles. That's cool, Janice. My first, it was my uncle that got me. When all the Beatles were. and still are amazing. Buying every Kiss album from the 70s along with many others. Yeah, I used to get Kiss albums for my birthday. Right? You know, one birthday I'd get Rock and Roll Over, another birthday I'd get Love Gun, then I'd get Alive 2, as they were coming out. Stephen David, welcome. There's a new name, I think. Again, if you're new to the channel, please hit the subscribe. I'm slowly inching my way to 5,000. That's a goal for me. And I'm about what I say. Shit, I don't remember. I think I need another 170 or something. But he's saying hello, very cool. Yeah, so I might do it. I don't know. My 10 favorite bands. You know what? What surprises me in this community that nobody talks about, because I mean, if you like that sort of in that vein of Aerosmith and you like that kind of like 70s rock kind of feel, or maybe even a little bit of 80s rock, there's not a lot of love for the Darkness, and I don't get that. They just put out an album, Dreams on Toast. Listened to it a couple of times. Got some pretty good up-tempo rockers on it, I mean, these guys write great songs, I mean, they don't take themselves too seriously. They take the music very seriously. But, they'll always have a couple of kind of, funny type songs. But, I mean, Justin Hawkins is no joke, man. That guy's a real singer. And they're really good musicians. And they put out really good product. And for people that are like, oh, there's no good rock, and they're complaining about bands like, Greta Van Fleet, man, you've got the Darkness right there. And they're putting out killer shit. There's one album, I mean, Permission to Land is the first one that everybody loves. But, man, listen to The Last of Our Kind. That's just a killer record. I did a ranking of the Darkness albums not too long ago, and, like, nobody cared. It's like, God, I don't know why that band doesn't get any more love, because they are absolutely phenomenal. I watch any video of them live. I mean, they're kick-ass, these guys. And it's all Les Pauls and Marshalls, Oh, thank you, Steven. Appreciate that. It's coming up. All the pointy guitars went out the windows, and now they're back again. Yeah. Well, there was a time when it wasn't cool to be able to play guitar, right? What I mean by that is, like, you couldn't play a solo. But that's not the first time that happened, right? When punk came out, in England, or I mean, even you could argue like the Ramones, earlier 70s in New York, CBGBs and all that. Nobody played guitar solos, and if you played a guitar solo, it was like a one note thing. There actually is a Ramones song, and I can't remember the name of it, where the whole solo is one note. And I can't remember if it's a D or an E, but it's like that's the whole solo. It's one note. So there was that time that it wasn't cool to play guitar solos, and then it happened again with some of the grunge stuff. Not all of it, but some of it, right? But then eventually, you had your Soundgarden, and then you had your Alice in Chains and Pearl Jam, and then the guitar solos kind of reappeared. Did you save the old vinyl growing up? I still have it, Alex. I don't have a. I kept it, and I still have my old stereo, but I have not hooked my stereo. I don't even know if it works. I mean, it's been sitting, and shit, probably for like since I moved into this house, so I have not played any of my records. Most of the time, I listen to all my stuff through streaming and earbuds, and because I get really good earbuds. That's the key. Get really good earbuds. And the quality, is it vinyl quality? Maybe not, but it sounds pretty good. So that's how I consume most of my music now is off a computer or off a stream. I was gonna say StreamYards, off of Spotify. Darkness are great. There you go. John likes the Darkness. What's my favorite riff to play? There's so many of them, Steven. I don't really have a particular favorite. I do love some of that AC/DC stuff, like I was playing a little bit earlier. Stuff like that is really cool, just because there's a lot of that's a hard to play because there's a lot of nuance, like a lot of like ghost, slight micro bends and stuff. I like stuff like that. I always like playing, you know, some Kiss riffs are cool to play. Zeppelin is always fun. You know, how's that going? Yeah, some Zeppelin stuff is cool. There's just too many. What earbuds do you use? I've got a bunch. I've got like 3 different sets of earbuds. Funny enough, the JBL earbuds, the first ones that I bought, I thought, okay, JBL, these are going to sound good. They're actually the worst sounding of all the earbuds I have. There's no bottom end. You literally have to. The key with earbuds is you got to be able to shove them into your ear, because if they're outside of your ear, you don't get any bass, right? So I got these earbuds that have like swivel hooks on them. They're all hooked earbuds, right? And they're swiveled hooks, so you can literally turn it and get it right into your ear, and then you can hear everything. Yeah, you're probably messing up your hearing, but but at least you get all the sound out of the earbuds. So there's what do they call, Soundcore? I don't know. And then there's another one called a T8. I've got like 3 different sets, but for music, it's either the Soundcore or the T8 ones. Those ones sound really, really good. And they're all like not crazy expensive. They're like, I don't know, less than $100. I collect vinyl, like the physical aspect, convenience of streaming. Yeah. Hey, Pooh Ninja. When I need a really good nap, Pooh, Pink Floyd's a ticket, baby. Hell's Bells. There's a good riff. That's a great riff. Rat Salad is always fun. I don't know that one, Pooh. Hey, Gary Joyce, how are you? Nice to see you. Iron Man from Sabbath. Oh, it's fun to play. J-Lab. Yeah, I think that one sounds familiar, Janice. The J-Lab ones. That might be one of the ones I have. I don't know. Okay, I'm getting caught up. Getting caught. Darkness are great. Waterfront, Simple Minds. Baseline is a D. Cool. Why do you think Gibson and Fender have their own cult following? Because both are great instruments. What I don't understand, Ken, is why somebody would just go, all I play is Gibsons, or all I play is Fenders. I mean, I have a lot more of any brand of guitar. I by far have more Gibsons than anything. Like, Les Pauls. I own a Firebird. I own an SG. You know, but you can't. There's certain things you got to have a Strat, and more so than a Strat. the Telecaster. I think the Telecaster is the best guitar Fender makes. I've got two of them. I love Telecasters, and it's weird because if you said to me even I don't know 10 years ago, your Telecaster, I'd say you're out of your mind. But I mean, the Telecaster's like this secret weapon that you just gotta have. Love Tellies. So and I've got I have other brands. I got a Yamaha PRS. Whatever. Like, I don't know why anybody would just like, oh, all they play is Gibsons. Like, that's I don't know. That's like all I'm gonna eat is bologna. I don't know. Okay, I missed that earlier, so I caught. There's Q. Welcome, Q. Watching You is a great Kiss song. Yes, it is. Okay, I just butchered Iron Man. I'm getting caught up here. You have to have the proper size earplug. That's true, Janice. It's got to fit in there nice. $9 for a cost? Yeah, man. They don't have to be expensive to sound good. I'll appreciate that, Q. I'm using the sounds out of the good old Gigcaster. I just wireless wired earbuds. Yeah, wireless. All my earbuds are blue. I don't think you can hook up a wire to a phone anymore. I think they're all wireless now if you want to put earbuds on them. Gibsons are the best made by craftsmen. Fenders look like they're made in somebody's garage. Well, I mean, Alex, if you were to tell me, like, if I was just gonna go off of looks alone, I think Gibsons win hands down. There's nothing better looking than this to me. But that's kind of like because I grew up, Ace Frehley and Jimmy Page. Like a lot of my heroes played this, right? So this is hits me right at home. But as far as a tool, people really think Fender Strats are like great looking guitars. I think they're butt ugly, honestly. I don't think the Tellys are very much better. I think the Tellys and Strats are not good looking instruments, but they serve a certain function. Like, I was, well, I mean, I can't play that style, but I'd love to be able to play Stevie Ray Vaughan. But if you want to get that kind of bluesy thing, you need that tool, man. It's like you can't, sometimes you need a can opener, sometimes you need a screwdriver, and it's just it's a tool, and it's like those are necessary tools. I think Strats and Tellys. For like a lot of the times when I record my original music, by the way, Guitar Hack on Spotify, lots of stuff to listen to. I will always back up a Les Paul or a Gibson of some sort. I'll tuck in a Telly, or I'll play a part that is a Telly part because it's more suited for that guitar. Just different paintbrushes. Oh yeah, that's the thing. The Telecaster, I don't know. Maybe they get a bad rap because of country, but man, all I gotta say is two words: Keith Richards. When I'm playing a Telecaster, it's that sort of just crunch, that chiminess. It's a beautiful sounding instrument. Just love it. Use the tool to do the job properly. That's right. All right, we're a little past the hour. Let me know if anybody's got any last minute comments or things they want to mention. Um, I um, I'm gonna wrap up here with a song that I wrote about 4 years ago. This song is was dedicated to a good friend of mine that passed away about 5-6 years ago. Um, but it's a song that, in hindsight, I'm pretty proud of. It's got some nice playing on it. I'm actually singing on it, and I don't sound terrible, uh, as I normally do. But it's a track I'm really proud of, and in hindsight, listening to it, and I don't like a lot of what I do. I'm my worst critic, but this one I think actually is a pretty good song. So if no one has any last minute things to mention, I'm going to play the track. I want to wish everybody a good rest of your night. Happy Easter for those that celebrate Easter next week, and look for another show with myself, Martin, and Pete on April the 24th. All right, check this out. We'll see you next time. Cheers. Yep.
How does it feel to be needed, not wanted? They're the same. To be with someone, stay together forever, and still be alone. To be alive, to be dreaming of what could have been. To be a shell of what I once was, put on the airs of someone new. As my dear friend said, just bide my time. Plan our lives with good intentions. I know fate will fall. We have no say in the matter. We just deal with it all. As my dear friend said, just bide my time. I don't know where I'm going. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what's out there. I don't know if I can. Said, just bide my time. I don't know where I'm going. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what's out there. I don't know if I can.